I just started it. Hey everybody, I'm Lindsay Perkins. We are doing a Buttermilk Biscuit Facebook Live today with the Mandel JCC. Thanks for coming. We are gonna get started in a little bit as soon as everyone arrives. I've got my trusty sidekick, Valerie. She just washed her hands. She's gonna put her apron on. Oh, looks cute on. Hey everybody! I changed my position, but you're farther away so that you can get the whole shot, so I can't really see the comments. If you noticed, if you can see the difference, let me know. I'm not gonna be... If you had known other weeks the camera was vertical, but I could see you closer, so I think I don't know if I'm gonna keep it like this because I just can't see the comments. And I don't know that you can, if it's worth the benefit. Love the look this week. I know, it's my camera's so far away though from me, I feel like I can't read the comments. I need glasses.
I can.
But anyway, we're gonna get started in a little bit. Welcome to cooking class. Valerie likes it because she's in full view, but I feel like my head's gonna be cut off the whole time, but I guess vanity's sake is a wash this week. We are making buttermilk biscuits. It's a kind of a gray day in West Hartford, Connecticut, so hopefully this adds a little fun and a cooking activity to whatever you've got going on. This is our 5th cook along with the It's our 5th week. It's our 5th week doing these weekly baked cooking events, and we are happy to be back. Jack and I are with you. Yay, hi Golds. No, you look great, not cut off at all. Okay, so it must just be my camera. I'm looking, if you hear any dog barking, disruptions, minor things, people coming and going, just go with it. We're all in this together. We're all home. Hi, Waxmans. Great. We're just gonna start a few more minutes. Hi, everybody. Come on in to make some buttermilk biscuits. I know this is sort of, there are a million recipes for biscuits. Everyone's got their great-grandmother's recipe. I know our family does. This is not it. Sorry, Mom. So those are our family recipe featherbed rolls that get made just a couple of times a year on special occasions. This is sort of a more all-purpose, hi, there she is, there's Mom.
Hi, Mimi.
This is really your all-purpose biscuit. If you want to make just biscuits to go with your stew, if you want to make biscuits and gravy, or bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits, or just want you just like eating biscuits. I don't know what you're gonna do with what you do with biscuits, but what I do with biscuits is I like to make them when we're making stew, and so this is a good recipe though, because if you have a bunch of biscuits, you don't want to bake them all off. You can freeze them before you bake them, or just bake off a couple today and then wrap the others, put them in the freezer, and then you can bake them all frozen. So then you can have a couple of biscuits, at your convenience. So that's a good tip to remember too whenever you're baking. This is sort of I would say like a quick bread. Oh, Valerie's got the gallon of milk. I'm not going to worry about that. Let's see. Hey there. Hi, Joyce Mandel. Love you. Thanks for watching. We're doing a great job for you at the JCC. So, we've got a bunch of people here, so I think we might do a recipe kind of roundup before we get started. So, Valerie's ready to go. She is ready to start baking. So, this recipe for buttermilk biscuits, I want just everyone to glance down and make sure they have everything before we start. We're gonna have 2 3/4 cups of flour, a teaspoon of sugar, so just a little bit of sugar, just a pinch of sugar to balance out all the salty stuff that you've got going on. Oh, we've got the things. Hi, kiddos. We're going to use just a little bit of baking soda. If you were looking through the recipes, baking soda in a biscuit, but that's going to help it sort of puff and stay fluffy. If you don't have baking soda, don't worry. This is almost like a minimal amount that it won't really affect the end result too much. But if you do have baking soda, we're going to put a little bit in, 1/4 teaspoon. Baking powder, 1½ teaspoons. We have, what else do I have? Oh, so we've got our milk. So I do not have buttermilk, but I'm not fretting because we can make our own buttermilk using just regular milk and a squeeze of, don't touch the phone, Valerie, a squeeze of lemon or a tablespoon of white vinegar. So we're gonna make our own white vinegar buttermilk so that Buttermilk sort of is just kind of those wonderful ingredients that people don't buy regularly, and if you do, you use maybe a cup of it and you're thinking, well, what do I use with the rest of these 3 cups? So you kind of can scour the internet, find different uses, use it in butter and pancakes, and of course we're going to use it today in the biscuits. So that's good. It just goes to show that if you don't have buttermilk, you can find ways around it. So I guess what we're going to start, if everyone wants to get started, we are going to prep. If you do not have buttermilk and you're just using regular milk like I am, we're just going to get that started because, Valerie, so the egg is just to make an egg wash on top of the biscuits before they go into the oven. Good job. That's great. So we're going to start by prepping our milk. And I can see my friend Lori's texting me, and if you're watching, Lori, I can't respond to you right now. So Valerie's going to pour 3/4 of a cup of milk into our measuring cup.
What if we don't have enough?
No, that's why I have the 2nd gallon. So you're going to start. It's okay. We have 2% milk and we have whole milk here. We are just, using up what we have. Okay, so you're going to do 3/4 of a cup, which is at the 6 ounce line. If you're looking at a 2-cup measure, it's 6 ounces of milk. A lot of times when you bake in a professional setting, ingredients are weighed, and then liquids are accounted for in ounces. So that's why you always see those little numbers on the side, because they would just say 6 ounces of milk, and you would never even use a measuring cup. I worked at a bakery, and we didn't even have baking regular cups. Everything was in weight in different amounts. Okay, so Valerie's got her 3/4 cups of buttermilk. I want to just pop in. You're making buttermilk right now. Yep. How did I miss anything? You just got on. Okay, Samara, don't worry. So you're just going to pour your milk. If you're making the buttermilk, you're going to pour 3/4 of the cup of your milk into your liquid measuring cup, and then Valerie's just going to squeeze in a tablespoon of lemon juice. So that's a good size. So just squeeze all that lemon. So basically, we're sort of curdling the milk. We're adding a little bit of tang to it. So we're going to do this first because it needs a few minutes to sort of not activate like yeast, but to sort of just like curdle. And I know that's not a very appetizing word, but for this use, we do want it a little bit tangy. So it's almost as if we were adding yogurt or kefir. Oh, we did have enough with this one. I guess my measurements are off, so I had enough 2% milk. So if you drop the lemon in, that's okay. Just fish it up. Here. And then can you squeeze that lemon in mine? And then I'm going to get this milk out of the way right over here. Here we go. All right, I'm going to lean in and see my comments because the camera's so, oh, hi, Cousin Sherry. Yep, if you already have the buttermilk, you can just skip that step. Thank you so much. Yep. So we're going to do this first, though, because we don't have actual buttermilk, so that we can let it sit and sort of, I guess, kind of curdle up a little bit. So we're just going to squeeze it and set it aside. We don't need to stir it up or do anything. So that's our liquid. So if you just had regular buttermilk, prep it, and then we're going to be ready to go with the other ingredients. Thank you, Perky. All right. If you're lucky enough, like I am, to have a sous chef, then we can move on to the next step. If not, I'll just talk slowly, if that's possible, and we're gonna move on. So, if anyone's, yep, the homemade buttermilk, yep. So we're gonna gather our dry ingredients because we have our wets prepped and ready on the side, so that's good, Perky. So we've got our medium mixing bowl. I'm gonna move this so Valerie can have better access. All right, Valerie, that is awesome. So we're gonna set these aside. You can just set the lemons over there, just over there. We'll clean it up later. Yep, hand towels are essential. She's gonna wash her hands. So I'm gonna get started prepping the flour. So we're gonna do 2 level cups and 3/4. 2 3/4 cups. I said that sort of strange. I'll do mine first and then you can do yours. So we've got 1 cup, 2 cup, and 3/4. So I don't have a 3/4 cup on me, but I'm gonna just use my professional judgment and just eyeball 3/4 of that whole cup and put it in right there. Okay, so 2 full and then 3/4 of the third one.
I don't know what that means. So.
I'll show you. All right, so if you've got your flour, I want to make sure. Oh, hi, Cheryl Green.
We do 2 full ones.
2 full ones. All right, so then to your flour, we're going to add 1½ teaspoons of baking powder.
What?
So then do it. So 3/4. Yep. Yeah. That's like not full, but it's like 3/4 of the way full. Like, yeah. Yep, that's actually perfect. And then you know what? If you're feeling like your biscuit dough is a little bit sticky, we'll just sprinkle in a little more flour. All right, so 1½ teaspoons of baking powder. There we go. So I'm going to move my flour out of the way so you have much.
Like that?
So one level, nope, so turn it around. This is actually good. I forget since I bake so much. In your baking powder, there's often this lip there, this little, which is just to help you level it off. And Valerie just asked what that was. So there's teachable moments all over the kitchen. So one full one, yep, and then do half. And you can just eyeball it, so fill up half of that cup. So now we're gonna add 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Now I have tried so many biscuit recipes, believe me, and this is my favorite one. I actually don't, yep, just one, yep, 1/4 teaspoon. It doesn't smell good, but that's because you're only putting a little bit into what we're doing it was we're helping it puff and soften the biscuits. It's gonna be insane. Yeah. So now we're gonna put in 1 1/4 teaspoons of salt. So this is a savory item. So we're going to, I'm just gonna crank away. So you can just kind of go like maybe like 15 cranks. And then I'm gonna put in 1 teaspoon of sugar, which just sort of balances things out. You don't really taste it, these are not a sweet biscuit. But a lot of times when you have something salty, you have something a little bit sweet in there. Who's going, oh, what was the thing you put in after the baking powder? That was, you're making
baking soda.
Right, so that was our baking soda, good old Arm & Hammer. So I have baking soda that I cook with, which is in my cooking cabinet, and then I have baking soda that I would clean with. So I don't sort of interchange, not that I don't use baking soda to clean with a lot, but if it's in my cleaning supplies, I would keep it separately, just a little sanitation and health tip there. Okay, so flour. 2 3/4 cups, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. So don't overdo it on the baking soda or also sort of like really puff up. And we did 1 teaspoon of sugar.
Wait, I did one of those.
Did you put your sugar in there?
No.
And then 1 1/4 teaspoons of salt.
Wait, how many did you put in there?
Just 1. You did the perfect amount. I was watching.
How much?
So
One of these?
1 teaspoon. Did you do your sugar?
No.
Oh, you didn't. All right. Kind of cheap track here. We've got 2 cooks in the kitchen. All right, so we've got our dries, and now you can just take that measuring teaspoon and just stir everything together. And I'm going to use a good old kitchen fork. So we're just going to incorporate our dries, all of those different ingredients. So we're just going to stir it up so that everything gets evenly distributed amongst the flour. Okay. And then we've got, you're not pouring your milk in yet, but I'm just letting you know what we've got going on here. So we've got our 3/4 cup of buttermilk and our dry ingredients. Now, so I'm gonna sort of get anything that I don't need sort of out of my way here. I keep waiting for it to rain. I already got my walk in this morning and it hasn't started yet, so hopefully we'll get another one in. My poor dog, just dying to go out. All right, so Valerie, that looks beautiful. I'm gonna get my sugar out of here myself. Actually, no, I'm gonna do that. All right, so I've got a pound of butter, like literally a whole pound. You guys might have your butter in sticks. You might have seen there's all sorts of home delivery.
Those make 4 sticks.
Right, so 1 pound makes 4 sticks. This is actually like the funniest thing ever. Anyone need some butter? So I'm doing a delivery service each week where with dairy, eggs, and fruits and vegetables, and so it's from a restaurant supplier, wholesaler, Sardilli. They normally supply restaurants. So I'm very comfortable seeing a brick of butter like this because I used to work at a bakery, Truffles, Hello Truffles, for many years, and so we would never get
salted or unsalted.
This is salted, or you can use unsalted. I'm not going to split hairs during this time, so use whatever butter that you have at home. I would normally, if I was baking, I would use unsalted butter, but what came was salted, and there's not enough salt in it to really alter your recipe too much. I know people sort of kind of think that there is, but there's really not. So you can use salted or unsalted. And since we're making biscuits with butter and salt, a little more won't hurt. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna cut this into 4s and make my 4 sticks on their own. And so normally what I would do is, you guys can see, I'm just gonna cut this brick in half. I'm not gonna make 4 horizontal butter sticks, that would just be a mess. So you're gonna cut it, I would just cut it in half. So I know many other people in town have ordered from Sardilli, so I just wanna sort of say if you have this big brick, or if you, so I'm cutting it into 4 sticks like this. That will work with on a smaller size. So this recipe calls for 1.5 sticks of butter. You're gonna start calling me Paula Dean, the Paula Dean of West Hartford, all of our butter. So you're having all of this? Nope, you want that one? Because it looks better? Oh, wow. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chunk my butter up into small, you are, I'm gonna give you this butter knife as soon as possible. So the next step, if you're working ahead and you think that I'm taking my time with this step, you're gonna chunk your butter up and then you're gonna put it into your flour. So this is just like, what did we make? Oh, we made the scones, and this was the same method. This is the same sort of quick bread. Oh, she just said, I know what we're doing next, meaning all of that kneading. And okay, so do you want to do the butter cutting?
Yes.
Okay, so we're using a butter knife. We don't need to get our chef knife involved here. Just keep it safe, keep it simple. So I'm putting all of my butter pats into, I don't know if you can see that well.
Separately?
Yeah, you can cut them separately. So what I have left is this stick. So you would have used, I'm doubling the recipe, so go ahead, honey. We don't want to get upset today. We're just keeping it simple. So I'm just going to start gently tossing the butter pieces around, and I want to make sure I'm not missing any of the questions. Did you already put in the buttermilk? No, don't put the buttermilk in. That is coming in after the butter. So we're gonna incorporate this butter, and then until we break it all up till it's the size of a pea, or the flour looks like coarse meal. And then we're gonna add the milk. So I hope you didn't go to that step. Great. If you did, what I would just say is, we'll be okay. And I would just have you sort of gather them, take as much milk out as you could, like scoop it out with your liquid measuring cup, and then break up the butter, and then move on.
Or
Nothing.
They don't have a liquid measuring cup?
I think they do. You're doing a great job with that butter, Perky.
I want pins.
So if you haven't joined us before, Valerie is in 3rd grade, and she is 9 years old, and she is always been baking with me. Oh, Valerie, why are you wearing your winter hat? You know, it's a little chilly. She's also just in it for the style, honestly. She just has her own style. She would wear that hat just for a look.
It's warm.
And it's warm. Yeah, so that's it. She gets style points.
Okay, do I put it all in now?
She's kind of like our hippie baker.
I made it really small.
She made it really small.
Wait,
so this might take a little while because it's 1.5 sticks of butter that we're trying to. So as you see, I'm just sort of really using. I hope you don't have carpal tunnel. I feel like I used to have it a lot more.
What's carpal tunnel?
It just means when your wrist and your just kind of get really, really pained after doing like kneading or using your hands, typing a lot, because we're just using this motion. But we're gonna not do it that long to cause us carpal tunnel, I hope. So we're gonna keep mixing.
It's a big word.
Carpal?
Yeah. No, carpal is.
All right, so Valerie's going in.
Nice.
So we're just gonna start. So I'm even honestly just gonna even start squeezing some of it if you feel like, to like speed up the process. This also is workout points. If you are keeping points, I'm doing a workout challenge where I work, Kingswood Oxford School, and I'm totally logging this as part of my daily workout. You think? The eating part, not so much. Oh, all right. So we're gonna go, and you're gonna see that the flour is actually gonna start getting a little bit opaque or a little bit yellow colored, so which is a good sign, which means that we are incorporating. So we're trying to get this butter onto the flour, which is a strange concept. So we're trying to coat the flour with some fat so that it's all evenly dispersed. So I wish I was watching all of you bake at the same time, but you get to just watch us. I know, but it would be a great way to sort of see what's going on. So that's why I can understand if you want to hit the like button, ask a comment if you're not actively baking right now. And this recipe will be posted on my Instagram and Facebook after this, which is at Lindsay Culinary, Lindsay with an AY, and also on the JCC. So this cooking video will be up on the JCCs for eternity, and I will post it What's that?
We will. Eternity.
For eternity, yeah. This is a public record of what we're doing. So mine's getting actually very good, and a lot of that's actually nice to have. Usually what I do when I'm baking alone, I have my little laptop open, or and I have a Netflix on, or some sort of, what do I like Pride and Prejudice, Amazon Prime, whatever. So baking is also my sort of alone time too. All right, so I've got my flour and my butter and all of those ingredients. So I'm just gonna kind of let it run through my fingertips, almost like little sifters, and I'm gonna catch any of the pieces that need to be broken up. Ooh, blonde brownies right now. Oh, I wish we were there too. All right, so I'm catching any of the butter pieces. So we want it to basically be broken down, but we don't want to, we don't want this to be like wet sand where it can clump together. So we don't want to overwork it too much. And we want to work very delicately and gingerly with our fingers so that we don't warm up the butter and that it melts. So lots to think about, lots of little learning lessons every time you bake or cook. And the more you do it, the more it just becomes, ingrained in your memory, which is why I love to teach other people my little tips that I kind of just take for granted because I've done it for so long, and that's why I realize some people don't do it as often as I do. So I'm so glad to have the opportunity to bake and cook with you guys each week. Here we go. Okay, Valerie, how are you doing? Can I dig in on yours for a sec? Oh, you're doing great. She has much smaller hands than I do, so I'm just gonna give her a little help. Oh, hi Hoffmans, hi girls.
Do we know the Hoffmans?
We do. All right, so Valerie's is in really good shape. I'm just gonna fluff hers up a bit. All right, and I'm gonna take my...
Oh, it feels different.
Okay, I hope everyone has had enough time with their flour mixture. So what we're gonna do is, Valerie, can you just shake out your hands a little bit? Nope, yep, Valerie Perkins, what are you doing? She's getting very comfortable in this Facebook Live format, so we've gotta be careful. We've gotta rein her in. She's gonna want her own YouTube page next. All right, so here we go. You're going to make just a little well in the middle of your flour mixture, just so that we have a little kind of capsule to pour in the buttermilk. Hi girls. All right, so we've got our buttermilk. We made our own with 3/4 cup of butter, milk,
Do we have to mix that?
and a tablespoon of lemon juice.
Is
So
this
as
good?
yeah, that looks
Do we
great.
have
So
to mix the milk?
yep, so now our next step is, let's guess. So we're going to add in our buttermilk to the bowl. Yep, in you go. And then what we're going to do next is, I'm just using a spoon. You could use a fork. And I'm just going to slowly start bringing in, and I sort of subconsciously just turn my bowl. So like I'm turning my bowl clockwise, but I'm spooning counterclockwise. It's a weird thing that I do. So we're just going to keep going. But really all you want to do, there's nothing, scientific about it. You just want to make sure all of that buttermilk is incorporated. So as I do this when I work with kids, I want you to resist putting your hands in the bowl as long as possible. So now we're not trying to overwork this dough, because we do want our biscuits to stay light and fluffy, but there is a certain amount of mixing that's required so that we can get the job done. Okay, so I've got my dough to the point where it's what they would call a shaggy mess. And so I'm going to take my two hands and sort of scoop it under and start gently folding. Start gently folding over. So what we're doing here is I'm going to take like half the mixture at the very bottom and fold it over on the other half. So that one, I'm doing a read right now on what's going on in my bowl, how dry it is, how wet it is. Also, I'm trying to incorporate layers. So you have a lot of flour. So I'm also trying to, as I'm doing this, pack it into a little bit of a mass so that I can, oh, perfect. I would say that, I'm sorry, that's obnoxious.
That stuff?
No, don't freak me out. We've added everything we need to add.
So this is good?
Yep, so you're gonna put it down, you're gonna get your counter, Right, so yours, so put it down right here. So we're not squeezing, you're just gonna use your fingertips. You can take that flour off. So any extra flour that's in your bowl, I'm gonna put your bowl here so everyone can see my shot. I'm gonna pour any extra flour that was in my bowl onto my biscuit dough. And now I'm just gonna press down, and I'm sort of gonna shape these into a square. So any of this loose floury bits, don't get worried. We're going to work it in and just keep folding it over onto each other. And as I am, I'm sort of packing it in and packing it in, and I'm gently pushing down. Now, this is gonna take a few minutes to come together, but I wanna sort of talk forward on a couple of things. We are gonna do this two different ways, Valerie and I. I'm going to use, some people love and have biscuit cutters and they wanna make circles. So I have a bunch of different sized biscuit cutters. Valerie, so Valerie, hold on one sec, because we forgot to add in.
Yeah, I know.
We forgot to add in.
About that.
Okay, we don't need to, get attitudey. So we're just gonna do this and just start folding it over gently. This is such a good lesson in how to teach kids and yourself how to make things. And so it's all falling off, so that we're just gonna, pack it in a little bit. So our dough, your dough should not be sticky wet. It should just be almost like the perfect consistency where things, Valerie, it's okay if they break. It's okay, because we are gonna use our hands to put them together. Okay, so I'm gonna form it like this. Now, this looks actually perfect to me, okay? Can you just let it rest for a sec?
At the bottom.
It's okay. If there's a little extra powder around, that's totally fine. So, I am going to use my hand and gently press down till they're about like I don't know, maybe 1.5 inches thick. This is truthfully where you can choose your own adventure and say, well, do I want to make circle biscuits? Do I want to just cut this mass into 6 squares so that we don't have any, just that. Okay, but I'm gonna demonstrate the circle, and then we're gonna demonstrate yours with the squares, and then you can keep cutting the circles. All right, so I like doing squares because there's no waste, and then there's no like sort of misshapen biscuits, but I know that some people love the look of that round biscuit with the sort of like pops up like the flaky layers. And so you can experiment in all sorts of different ways. So I have a disc here. This is just like what we were doing when we made scones. And I hope, so I'm gonna shape yours. Now, if your kids are doing this and they've sort of like squashed this out, it's okay. It's okay. Everything's gonna work out. Everyone's gonna have biscuits. They're all gonna taste delicious. So we can't get too, micromanagey, especially during this time when we are all together all day long. So I'm gonna form Valerie's into, I guess it's sort of more of a misshapen rectangle at this point. I'll take whatever. What's going on? Hi, Vance.
No.
Valerie, it's fine. Let him do it. It's okay. It's okay. So I have a biscuit cutter. They're different sizes. I'm going to use them here. My son's coming in for a drink. Oh, all right. So I'm using my biscuit cutter. I think the light, I don't know if the light's going to be okay. Guys, keep it down, please. Please. Valerie, just let him do it. It's okay. We've got 2 mothers in the house, me and Valerie. It's always a work in progress. So I'm gonna cut out my biscuits, which should be a calming therapeutic thing. I don't know that I'm feeling that right now. But I have my cookie sheet. If you have parchment, the egg's just gonna be for the egg wash, Monica. So we're not putting in the oven. Preheat your oven to 375. Vance, can you let the dog out, please? Yep, so sorry if I didn't mention that in the beginning, or if I did. Oven, what?
She's walking randomly.
No, it's fine. So the oven's to 375, and I'm gonna just start prepping biscuits on my tray. But I wanna show you, so these are our circle biscuits. You keep her safe, okay? Okay, I'll clean it up after. We've got a dog in the house, and we've got our dog had a puppy. So we've got that. So if you made your biscuits into the rectangle, Valerie, let's get back to business here, okay? Let's finish this up. So I'm gonna cut it into 6 pieces. And this is actually the best way to do this. If you're a first-time biscuit baker And you can see the layers that we baked into that.
It's raining.
Okay, perfect. Valerie informs us that it is now raining. So thank you, meteorologist Valerie. So this way is great because you're gonna have nice square biscuits if you wanted to make an egg and cheese, any sort of thing. And I wanna show you how I'm sort of putting my square, Valerie, my square biscuits here. And then I'm gonna keep going with my circle biscuits. I think we've lost Valerie, which is okay. It's okay, it's fine. We'll just let her be. Here we go. And so I'm just gonna keep cutting out the rest of these biscuits. And if you did, these are gonna look, oh my gosh, you can just see the layers in there. That's just gonna be like, so like.
I'll be able to rip them apart.
So I'm gonna start piecing together. So you should definitely get 6 biscuits if you're keeping them and cutting them and you were just cutting the rectangle into 6 pieces. You could honestly, I've had these wonderful hors d'oeuvres somewhere where they were little mini biscuits. So you could have I have a very small biscuit cutter sliced with like tenderloin, a little piece of arugula, and like a caramelized onion jam. So you could make little hors d'oeuvres. You could do all sorts of things once you have a good recipe that you trust. And hopefully you guys will like this one too.
I wiped up her feet.
Okay. All right, so I'm just loading my tray. Hello, Michelle. My mother would cut it into 8s, okay? So if I cut it into 6, but my mom would cut it into 8. So if you want, yeah, they probably will be very big at, sorry, Mom, you're gonna have a decent sized biscuit. So now what I'm doing with my scraps for the ones that I cut, I have 6. I wanna get closer. I have 6. See, the lighting that I have is the issue because I have this white light.
Here, I can make it so you can see it.
Oh no, Valerie, that's okay. Please leave it just like it is. We don't want any technical difficulties. So we have our biscuits here. Let's just get back to what we're doing, and then we'll. So I've got a tray with 12 biscuits because I doubled my recipe. Actually, I'm gonna have I'm gonna have 14 biscuits because I have some scraps from when I was doing my circular ones that I'm just gonna sort of free form and put through my cookie cutter. You can use it as a cookie cutter, biscuit cutter. So these ones are gonna look a little misshapen, but they're gonna still bake up and be delicious. So that's that. So we've got our ovens at 375. There we go. Valerie, do you wanna do me a favor and you can do you wanna scrape some of this flour into the bowl? Like we're. Oh, that noise?
Stop.
She has a thing with the scraping noise, which I totally get. So we're gonna set some of these aside. No, I was gonna say just put it into this bowl. So she's gonna start tidying up the countertop while I do the next step, which is going to be to make an egg wash. Now.
Oh, you see how quietly you can scrape?
Yeah, you can. It's like a fun game. See how quietly you can do it. I like that. I do. So, if you have an egg and a little bowl dish ramekin. Actually, yeah, you can totally try the dough. There was no like raw egg in it.
I know.
What do you think?
I want to try it. It's okay.
So I'm gonna crack an egg into my little Pyrex ramekin. I'm going to toss it in the sink. Do you guys put your eggs in the sink? Eggshells in the sink? I love asking this question. My plumber would say don't ever do that. Don't put anything in your sink. But one time I put fennel fronds into the sink, and it killed my the garbage disposal. So don't it's not.
This?
Just put it right in the sink. That's fine. So don't put fennel fronds down your garbage disposal. You'll totally be regretting. I'll tell you later. So we're whisking up. It's just an egg. You have 15 biscuits. Awesome. 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14. I have 14, but you know, it's fine. Everyone's was sort of cutting to their own taste. So we're gonna take our biscuit. If you have like one of those fancy pastry brushes, go ahead and grab it. We're gonna leave ours in the drawer. And I'm just gonna use my 2 fingers and just brush some of this egg wash on top of our biscuits. Woo! Wow, it's so calm in here all of a sudden. That was a little chaotic when your brother came in.
Yeah, I know.
what he was doing was he was getting a sugary drink because he knew I couldn't tell him no because I was on like Facebook Live. So he snuck in like a bandit, as if he didn't have to ask permission. Valerie, can you put that off the camera?
Yeah.
Because and Valerie got one too. Everything is going crazy in our home. But you know what? I feel like we're all, everyone's kind of having these same moments together. We're all just trying to figure out how to be moms, dads, teachers, good humans, helping out where we can, making masks, trying not to get
peel those.
Possibly. So I'm gonna just rinse my fingers or wash them because I just touched the egg wash. Valerie, you can stay right there. So the next step is that I'm gonna grab my kitchen towel. Okay, so I'm looking for my pepper. Well, my pepper shaker was out all day, and now it's missing, so I'm not really sure where I put it. No, I don't think it's in there, Perky. It must have kind of wandered off somewhere. So what I do is oh yeah, that's it. I like to do, because these are savory biscuits, as I'm just gonna sprinkle a little. I'm not gonna do all of them because I don't want the kids to get horrified. A little bit of salt. If you have like nice flaky salt, put that on top of your egg wash. And I'm gonna just crack a little pepper. If you have like a coarse grind, just a little bit on top. And not a ton, but obviously just enough to like make it pop. And also adds a little bit of flavor. Hi V, hi Valerie, hi Cheryl. Your girl Valerie is so helpful today, Cheryl. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my biscuits into the oven. I hope everyone is having the same luck that we are today. And I'm gonna just turn around, pop these babies into the oven, and I'm gonna set my timer for 8 minutes. Because what's gonna happen at 8 minutes is that I am going to rotate the pan and get started. So now everyone's taking a cleanup break. If you guys are all at this step, I hope that you are. So I'm gonna just casually clean up my countertop. There's nothing else we need right now except for we're gonna make a little bit of honey butter. So you can just kind of keep your honey in a pat of butter and like a little ramekin dish. But before we get to that part, so here's another tip. If you just use one egg and it's like, well, I just basically wasted an egg because there's so much left over. You can wrap this and put it in the fridge if you're gonna be continuously baking, or if you're making pie crust or a pie. You could also, if you didn't have an egg or you do egg free, you could just rub cream on the top of them. So what that does is just create like a nice golden brown coating on top of what you see in your baked good. It's more for I guess aesthetics and not flavor. So we don't want it. It's not going to taste like egg. It's just going to help do this golden brown delicious. In culinary school we call it GBD. You're looking for GBD, golden brown delicious. Anyone who went to Connecticut Culinary Institute knows what that term is. So, hey Valerie. So what we're doing now is we're just doing a quick counter cleanup. We are. My kids were on spring break last week, so we had to get back to the books yesterday. And let me tell you, it was jarring a little bit. I really did enjoy having them off from school. I was still working, and I know so many people are, and they're trying to manage their families, their homes, their lives, their friends, staying in touch with everyone. And it seems like I'm busier now that we're going online than I am when I'm just doing my normal mom job routine. And so everyone's just trying to stay connected in different ways, which is why cooking together every week is a great way for me to feel kind of my own moment. And it's a great way to spend time with Valerie in a way that is different than what we normally do. So what is the total bake time? Total bake time, because you said you had 8, wait, how many? Oh, you said you had 15 biscuits, Waxmans. Those might be smaller, or I'm not sure if you doubled the recipe or not. We're gonna probably let this go for 15 to 17 minutes, but I wanna watch it. So at 8 minutes, I always set everything for half the time first, so that I can rotate my pan so that in case everyone's oven kind of has its own different temperature zone. So your oven might be hotter in the back than it is in the front if you have convection. it should technically cook quicker because the convection oven, the air is shooting around in a nice orderly fashion, and so that should actually help browning and even rotation so that you don't have to physically rotate your pan. I used my last cup of plain yogurt. Oh, awesome, great. So I guess to answer your question, Shauna, total baking time is going to be about 15 to 18 minutes. So you just want to watch. And so I'm going to put this in the sink. Here we go. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to make a simple honey butter. You do not need to follow this step. Oh my gosh, if you just wanted to put a pat of butter and a drizzle of honey, that's totally fine too. So this is more just like an extra step if you like honey and if you like butter. So no, Brittany. You would only just put this on individually as you're going, and obviously honey butter, can't speak. Honey butter.
You melt it first, right?
I'm just gonna soften it. I'm not making a ton because truthfully I don't need all this honey butter hanging around. So I'm just gonna soften it. You soften your butter pat. You sprinkle in a little honey, and as you're juggling it around, and then you add. So just give it a squeeze. Not too much. This is really just to show you what this technique is, but we don't need too much. Yeah, like another big squeeze. Perfect. So we're just. Oh, she wants to mix it. What am I thinking? Of course she wants to mix it. So yes. Ooh, plant-based butter. Lori Brennan, I've been seeing all your texts. I can't answer them, so hopefully everything's going well in your kitchen. I miss you. Ashley and Sophia. Oh, hi. Hi, everybody. I didn't get to say hi to everyone as we were doing this morning. But all of our friends are here. I'm going to let the dog in. Come on in, Kelly. Come on.
This is thick.
Yep, so it's thick, and as it gets back to room temperature, it'll solidify a little bit. Okay, that's, I think the mixing is done. Plant-based butter, love that. So I've just got a little dish of honey butter. I'm gonna do a little tidying up. Now, if you have to I just figured out how to make these. Got it. That's what it was. If you have to step off because you have, Valerie's got a Zoom happening in the next 5 minutes with her third grade class. So she's preparing for that. You still have 6 minutes, Valerie. They don't start until right at the time. If you have to say goodbye, all we're doing at this next step is that we're going to just take it to a level of brownness, and we're going to just make sure that we don't undercook them and that we don't overcook them. And so if you guys have any questions while that's happening, I've got another minute and a half till I get to my first rotation, and then I'm going to check on things. So if you made biscuits that are smaller, they're not going to take the full 18 minutes or so. So it's really, I'm not passing off ownership of what's going on in your oven. I'm just giving you a suggestion so not everyone's are going to finish in 18 minutes. Some might be done earlier. I can't see the questions. How do you make the honey butter? Well, so you're just gonna take just a little bit, a couple of tablespoons, unless you wanna, make some for a while. I put a couple of tablespoons. Yeah, and she said this is what Bear's Barbecue has. They serve honey butter with all of their cornbread, which is so delicious. So that's how you do it yourself. Melt the butter, just a couple of seconds. You just wanna soften it, although if it does go past soft and it does melt, it's gonna solidify anyway when it gets cold. Add in a drizzle of honey, and you mix it up. Voila, like that's it. What is next week's recipe? Oh, Lily, I'm so glad you asked. I'm taking a poll. So we are keeping with the theme of pantry staples, things that you can bake using that so that you don't have to run out to the store. So I want to take a poll. Lily, what do you want to make next week? Oh, my timer just went off. We could do something with yeast again. We could do, I don't really want to do pizza because we did focaccia, which is sort of like that. Oh, awesome. So I'm just going to show you. This is at 8 minutes. I don't know if you can actually see what's going on in my pan, but things are puffing. But I just circled it around. I rotated it. And they're going to go back in. I'm going to put back in for, I'm an over checker, so I'm gonna just set them for 6 minutes because I would rather underbake and then just keep going like another 2 minutes, another 1 minute. What are we baking next week? Kitchen sink cookies. I love that idea. Kitchen sink cookies. I want to look up that recipe. So you guys want to do, we could do cookies next week. We haven't done, so this is a savory recipe. We could do cookies, we could do snickerdoodles, we could do, cinnamon roll. Oh, okay. You know, I have a quick cinnamon roll recipe. Why don't we do that? That will be fun. I think that would be fun. Laura, great question. We could do that. So as it seems, we might be still in this situation for some more weeks. So I feel like all of your suggestions we will get to because we're gonna have some time on our hands where we're still kind of like hanging out there and figuring out, fruit cobbler. You know what I was thinking, Sherry? I was thinking of a galette. I can never say that word, but I love making them because it's pie crust that you stuff with, you roll out, fill with fruit, and then wrap it halfway up and bake that off. So that's good. That's definitely going to be on my list. Okay, snickerdoodles or cinnamon rolls. Yes. Cinnamon rolls. Okay, great. Cinnamon rolls. Done. I am so excited. So that really is just going to be flour, flour, yeast. So if you have yeast, you can't find yeast. I saw that in West Hartford. Hartford Baking Company is selling yeast. Every morning that's like they're like releasing a certain amount that you pre-order. Pantry staples would be helpful. Yep. And so then we really just need flour, yeast, water, cinnamon, and butter, and probably a little brown sugar. Cinnamon rolls, yay! So now these are not going to be the cinnamon rolls that take all day to bake, that are going to have like a serious long rising time. So these are a quick cinnamon roll, which actually is also very helpful because you get kind of immediate results. So I hope everyone's baking along and you can see your biscuits. And I don't even know, what am I making for dinner tonight? As I mentioned earlier, if you are on Instagram, you can follow me at Lindsay Culinary, Lindsay, where I sort of just post whatever I'm cooking up, sweets, savories, recipes, and I post it on Facebook too, at Lindsay Culinary. How long are they in the oven, the biscuits? So the biscuits are going to be, it's going to be about 15 to 18 minutes. So you have to really take it on yourself to get yourself, to finish them off. The bottom will be golden brown. And as you can see, if you guys rotated, so mine is at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And honestly, if your oven happens to be a little bit lower, just bake them for a few more minutes at a time. Like if you get to 18 minutes, you're like, these don't really look that finished. Just put it in for another 3 minutes and then check and rotate at 3 minutes. So I missed that. What you need on our website and Facebook? Yep. So we will get the Facebook event and the ingredient list posted probably tomorrow. I'll get over to the JCC send them all the info. And I'm so glad that you guys were all here today. If you need to step off, I feel like, should I finish it out? Michelle, what should I do? Should I wait till the end? What's everything going? Thank you for coming. I know everyone has to get back to their lives, but this is my favorite time of the week. I think about it all week long, about how I get to kind of connect with my community, how I get to share a skill, how I get to just feel like I'm contributing during this time when we're just kind of feeling a little bit lonely and complacent. So thank you so much. Thanks, Linz. Okay, awesome. So we are going to wrap this up. And if you have questions, you can hop onto my Facebook page. You can message me. You can send me pictures. You can post your pictures here on the JCC's website. And thank you so much. We are all in this together. I really hope everyone's doing okay. And if you're not, just reach out. There are so many people that want to help and that want to give. So thank you, Mandel JCC. I love you so much. I love that I get to be with you every week. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to sign off, and I can't wait to see pictures of your biscuits. All right, I want to see those golden biscuits. I'm going to post a picture of the biscuits. Thank you, thank you. Thanks, Brenda. Thanks, Monica.